So I guess we can start off with so how exactly was Fourth Ward like established? And what role did it play in Houston's history?
So after emancipation,
Mm-hmm.
the 1865, the plantations were along the Brazos River and, in between Galveston and here.
Right.
And so when the slaves were freed, they made their way to Houston.
Right.
But this was the outskirts of town.
Right.
So there were 4 wards at first.
Mm-hmm.
Now there were blacks in all 4 wards, but majority were here in the 4th ward. So like I said, this is the outskirts of town.
Right.
And, nobody wanted the property out here. People owned it, but it was, Houston, hot,
Yeah.
swampy, mosquitoes. Right. Yeah. So people just kind of settled here and, I guess used what they could to make some type of house or tent or something like that.
Right.
So eventually, Jack Yates was pretty big when, he was a person that he already knew how to read and write and stuff like that. So he encouraged everybody to, the Missionary Society was coming down to Houston.
Mm-hmm.
So he encouraged everybody to try to, put your kids in school, learn to read and write yourself. And, when you earn money, buy property.
Right.
That was his big thing. And so some people did that. And of course, because it's Jim Crow, well, it's not even Jim Crow. After Reconstruction, I say about 1872 or 3,
Mm-hmm.
now you have the segregation of everything.
Right.
And so they're like, oh, well, we're going to put one school for blacks and one school for
Plessy
whites
Ferguson.
in each neighborhood. Right.
Yeah.
And so you have that, and then comes Jim Crow, but they're segregating everything and stuff like that. So basically the area, you could go to a shop, but that doesn't mean you're going to be let in. That
Right.
doesn't mean you're going to get to shop there or
Right.
whatever. And so the area basically just was self-reliant.
Right.
I think Fifth Ward was probably the same way
Mm-hmm.
eventually, but it was self-reliant. So then you had churches and you had businesses and doctors. Of course, there was you couldn't go to the hospital. So, you had doctors in this area. And then there was a building called the Pilgrim Building eventually that's where all of the doctors were, like lawyers or something like that, because they couldn't go downtown and rent office space.
Right. Right. And for people who don't know what a ward is, because I feel like you can't talk about Black culture in Houston without talking about Third Ward, Fourth Ward, Fifth
Right.
Ward, can you please explain what exactly a ward is?
So, you have a handout.
Oh, okay.
But it's actually it was a system of government that they used at the time.
Okay.
So like now we have city council districts. So back then you had wards.
Right.
So it was just 4, and then there was an alderman that was actually elected. So at first, during Reconstruction, there were actually Black men that were elected for their particular ward, and they actually became the alderman for that particular section of town.
Right.
But of course, once Reconstruction was over, that all went away. I actually have a thing that I can give you on the wards.
Okay. Thank you. And can you speak a little bit about the building we're in right now?
About the what?
The building that we're in right now.
Oh, sure. So during that time, so when we say that this was the first school for African Americans,
Right.
basically it means like we're based on the first school.
Right.
So the first school was the Gregory Institute. And there was a man that came down with the Freedmen's Bureau, and he donated the land. He was an abolitionist.
Right.
And he donated the land. So it really wasn't in this spot. It was closer into what's downtown.
Right.
There was a couple of wooden buildings, and as those burned down, eventually you ended up here, but they kept the name. So it was the Gregory Institute, And then once schools started, the city decided to start regulating schools, then you had, like I said, 2 schools in each ward, one black, one white. Plus in this area, you still had the Gregory Institute that was over here as well. And then as the city grew, then you would have more school type places. And then Gregory Institute joined Houston, I won't say Houston Independent School District because it really wasn't a school district, but it joined the city's school system, and then they kept the name Gregory.
Right.
And so, like I said, this is the third building.
Okay.
Well, actually, may even have been the 4th, because originally this land that's right out here, that was where the school was prior to 1926.
So this is old. This building's old. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And what changes has the 4th Ward seen, and what do you think are factors that contribute to those changes?
Gentrification.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I'm going to talk about. I took pictures. So you see, obviously, Victory Apartments, and then right next to it, $1 million home. Yeah. So I didn't even have to, kind of hint at that.
Right. So basically, I think the issue was that the people who lived here did not own the land.
Right.
They were renters.
Right.
And so you had, originally there were lots of Italians in this particular area of town, and they owned the land, so they were basically absentee landlords. And then of course when you get developers, as time goes on and the city is building, massively downtown.
Right.
Well, this is prime real estate.
Exactly.
And so I know for some of the houses, the original houses that are like on this block back over here on Cleveland Street, at one point it was like, well, why can't you restore the houses? And I think it was Mayor, what's her name, Harper, that had a study done and found out that the land was worth a lot of money. The structure was only worth about $35.
Wow.
And so, you own that.
Yeah.
That's an incentive for you to sell it.
Yeah, definitely.
Now, some places they did donate the buildings, donate them to some nonprofits that are refurbishing them and putting museums there. But for the most part, yeah, gentrification.
Definitely, yeah. Thank you.
Sure.
Well, thank you for your time today.
Sure. Let me see if I can find that handout.
Okay, thank you.